Hello YouTube, how are you all? All right, so as you know, if you've been watching the videos, I like to hire a scooter and go to an island and ride around there. Most of my trips, well everything so far has been solo trips. I thought I thought I'd talk about what it's like, you know, traveling alone, more so riding alone or riding in the Philippines. Asia in general, it's very similar, but specifically this isn't about riding in the Philippines. The good parts, the bad parts, and the other parts in the middle, I guess. So, I mean, to start off with, you're planning a trip, whether it's by yourself or with some friends who all want to come and ride together, you pretty much want your own bike. You don't want to have two people to a bike because you're going to have a big backpack on and whatnot. So really you need you on your bike and whoever else is with you having their own bikes, and away you go. I guess it's possible to do it with two people to a bike, but it would be pretty uncomfortable, I reckon. So yeah, first things first, get a bike. Now, depending on where you're going, will depend on where you hire from. I found if you look online, you can on Facebook and type in whichever major city you're going to be landing in, you should be able to find motorbike hire, scooter hire, car hire, whatever it is you're looking for pretty easily, usually through Facebook. I've found, and I've hired from quite a few, I've found that if you hire from someone who, and expats seem to be better. If you've got someone who's an expat and they're hiring the bike, normally those bikes are more well looked after and they might be a little bit more expensive, but they're usually relatively new, better looked after, better serviced, and they run better and they feel better to ride, like they generally haven't been trashed. That being said, I have hired from locals and had awesome bikes as well in a few places. Generally, if you look at the reviews and there's minimal reviews, or there's only 3 or 4 reviews, I'd be a little bit hesitant. If there's lots of reviews and everyone says they're amazing and they're going to use them again and they're really good, they're probably fine to use. I've found throughout most of the Philippines, depending on what size bike you want, if you're going to be riding around just in the city, like staying very local to where you are, kind of in a small area, not going sort of high speeds or high distances, a smaller bike is fine, especially if you're just using it as for day trips going out from a central point and back again because you're not carrying luggage and stuff with you, or a big backpack like I do. Getting one of the small ones like a Click or like a little 125 or something like that, probably fine. If you're doing longer distances, like if you're going not just like out and back to your base each time, if you're going and going and going and going and going all the way around an island like I tend to do, or you're carrying a big heavy backpack like I tend to do, or if you've got a backpack and a second bag, which you probably want to be able to either whack under your seat or something like that, so you need a bit more space. Going for a bigger bike, like an NMAX, like they're 150 or 155 or 160cc bikes, usually better. I like the NMAX because it's got a big area under the seat that you can slide my camera bag into, and also have my backpack on the back. They also tend to have bigger wheels, and because they're a bit heavier, they tend to just handle the road a little bit better than the lighter bikes. The handling is nicer, they're more comfortable, and they're better. They're better, but if you're just in a local place, a little small area, a smaller bike's fine as well. Now, there is a difference in price, obviously. So the smaller bikes you could probably get for, I don't know, maybe $10, $12 a day. I'm talking Australian money here. Maybe, depending on where you are, maybe $10 to $15 a day for the smaller bikes. Probably between $15 and $22 a day for the bigger bikes. I would still go for the bigger bike personally, but I'm a big guy. And like I said, I normally have a backpack and other stuff, another camera bag and everything. But if you're going from Cebu to anywhere and you're starting in Cebu City, I would suggest going through Q Adventures. He has his own YouTube channel and he hires out bikes, and they're almost always basically brand new. They're really well looked after, really well serviced. They are more expensive, but every time I've used them, which has been a couple of times, they've been excellent, and I can't recommend them enough. They're very, very good. Easy to deal with, just good. If you're in Leyte over in Tacloban City, I'd go with DZ Motorbike Rentals. They were really good, a local guy, and the bike was really good and good price, and really was good to deal with as well. So outside of that, pros and cons of riding a bike through the Philippines. there's a lot of cons. It's going to seem like there's a lot of cons, but genuinely, honestly, the pros, even if it's only 2 or 3 pros, the pros are so good that they wildly outweigh the cons. But I'll start with some cons, okay? The cons are, you need a license, you do. You're going to get pulled over at some point. I've been pulled over 2 or 3 times, and I've always been fined because I actually had a valid motorcycle license. 2, you need a helmet. I brought my own because the helmets that they give you are, they're just cheap, nasty helmets that probably don't fit well. And if you have a crash, it's up to you, but if you want your head not to be broken open, have a decent-ish helmet. You can buy a cheap, decent-ish helmet, either there or from Australia for a couple $100. It's definitely worth it, especially if you're going to do multiple trips. Third, you got to be somewhat okay at riding. Like if you've got your license and then haven't ridden for 25 years and then you go there and ride, I don't know, I would just be a little bit careful because generally you're hiring the bike from a city and that's the hardest part. The first hour as you try and get yourself out of the city, it's chaos and there is trucks and cars and bikes and things going everywhere and you need to have somewhat of an idea how to ride because if you're trying to ride through that and you don't, chances are you're going to hit something or get hit by something. And if you're the foreigner, your fault or not, it's your fault. So be prepared to pay. Once you're out of the city and you're riding, you've got things to look out for. People, kids run onto the road. People walk onto the road. They don't even look. Cars pull out onto the road. They do not even look. Bikes just swerve in front of you. They do not even look. Trikes and the little pedal trikes, I can't remember what they're called, will just be putting along and sometimes they'll just pull out in front of you. They don't even look. There's a theme. They don't even look. That's fine. You need to keep your eyes open and looking. Dogs, cats, chickens, goats, water buffalo, any other animal that you can think of will 100% walk out onto the road in front of you, especially dogs and cats will walk out onto the road in front of you, start to go past you and you think you're good and then suddenly turn in front of you again. Slow down. I know it sounds dumb because you're driving along at 30 k's an hour only. Slow down when you see them because you don't want to hit a dog or a cat. 1, if it's a stray, it might make you fall off and crash. 2, if it's someone's, they're not going to be happy and then you're going to have to pay. Okay, so just, you've got to keep your eyes open and watch. If you're riding along on one of the main roads, like main highway roads especially, which you will be, sometimes it's 1 lane, sometimes it's 2 lanes. Oftentimes you're going to get trucks or 4-wheel drives or I don't know, buses going past you like you're not moving. You might be doing 50 or 60 and they'll go past you like you're not moving. I've been doing 70 a couple of times and had cars, like 4-wheel drives, like a Ranger or something like that go past me and they would have had to have been doing 150 k's an hour because they were so much faster than me. 9 out of 10 of them, when they're coming up behind you, will give you a little bit of a beep beep so you know and you just move over and they just keep going past. 1 out of 10 don't and they go past you like you're not there and you got to just keep your eye on what's going on around you because you want to get out of the way of them. Okay, there's some negatives. But again, if you're a good rider or you've got a good awareness of what's around you, it's fine. All of those things are fine. The next thing is the roads are amazing 10% of the time. Okay, 70 or 60% of the time. And then that last bit are horribly, terribly, like trying to kill you. Like massive potholes, parts of the roads where there's 1 lane this high and the other lane's like half a foot to a foot lower than that high and you can't change lanes because of it. Sometimes there's 2 lanes either way and you're in the right-hand lane just putting along and then suddenly there's power poles in the middle of that lane. I don't mean on the side, I mean literally in the middle of that. It's 2 lanes to drive there, but one of those lanes has power poles down the middle of it, so you kind of got to swerve in and out of them. Sometimes lanes just stop. Sometimes you'll have 2 lanes going this way and 2 lanes coming that way, and then suddenly it won't be 2 lanes going either way anymore. It'll be 1 lane going either way. There'll be no sign to tell you why, and you're in the middle lane. That's now the oncoming lane. But there was nothing to explain that was happening or any real reason to see it other than you've now got a truck driving directly at you and you need to get out of the lane which you're now in the wrong direction. Be aware of what's going on around you. Sometimes the right lane will just stop. Sometimes there'll be a landslide, and it'll be covering the road for most of the road, and the one lane will have been cleared, and it's just cars going both ways trying to squeeze past. You just got to be a bit careful and slow down. Sometimes there's gravel on the roads. You need to be careful, especially on a bike, because it's slippery. Sometimes there's standing water in places because it rains, and it rains real heavy, and then you get puddles of water, which they look like they're this deep, but they might be that deep. Sometimes there's potholes that are very big. Sometimes there's roads where there's more pothole than road. Sometimes there's no road. It's just, sometimes there's a bridge, which is only really wide enough for 2 motorbikes, let alone a car. It can be challenging to ride on, but that's kind of all the negative parts of it. The flip side to it is, if you're riding, you can stop anytime you want. If you're a tourist and you're going in a tourist trip with a bus or a load of tourists or whatever, you don't get to stop. You certainly don't get to go up that side street there to see what was up there because that looks interesting. You definitely don't get to go, oh, that was an amazing view that we just went past and I can't see anymore, but I'd love to turn around and go back and have another look. All of these things you can do on a bike. The other thing on a bike is, and this might sound obvious, but you're on a bike. Riding a bike anywhere in the world is fun. Riding a bike in some of the most beautiful scenery you've ever seen in your life, it's pretty amazing. Like, it's one of the most amazing things ever. Keep your eyes around for potholes and all the other stuff I mentioned, but sometimes you can't help yourself as you're riding along going, oh my God, look at that over there. Like, there's just, it could be giant mountains going up into the clouds. It could be mist coming out everywhere because you're riding early in the morning and there's mist covering everything, running up to these hills and mountains, and then fields running out down here, and then palm trees going down the hill over there, running out into that bay full of little fishing boats that are sitting in the bay there on perfectly blue turquoisey type water. Like, you're going to see stuff that you just will not get to see otherwise. You also get the opportunity to stop, and I'm just going to stop at that little stall and talk to the local people. I'm just going to stop at that little stall and buy some water. I'm going to stop over at that little carinderia and have some food, which you can't do on tourist trips very well. And you can look on maps on Google and just go, it says there's a waterfall up that road there. Maybe I'll turn up that road and just see if I can get to it. And you will. Or you won't. You might not get there and be like, oh shit, I'm a bit lost now and I'm not really comfortable where I am. And you turn around and go back. Or you find the most amazing waterfall and you're the only person there. Riding in the Philippines is awesome. And every part of it is better than being just a tourist in a car somewhere or in a tour group. Because you get much more experience. Like, every part of it is better. All the other things I mentioned before, but the other thing that can be a little bit crap is if you're over there when it's raining a lot, and luckily for me, I haven't had a lot of rain when I've been riding. I haven't had a lot of it, but if it rains heavy, and if it's raining like a lot, if you're in the rainy season, sometimes you might get all day of rain, and it's like torrential all day rain, and you're riding through big puddles and stuff like that. That's no fun. But if you're just normally riding and you get like a downpour and you get drenched, and you'll be completely soaked. Literally, you'll ride for another 5 minutes and you'll be dry again. So it's okay, really. That's it, really. Go. Find some place to go. It doesn't have to be Philippines, but if it is the Philippines, you're going to love it. Hire a bike and go riding. Just explore, go places you wouldn't normally go, and have a good time. That's it. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. I will catch you in a couple of weeks when I am back from the Philippines. Thanks again. Bye.